Yet again, President Muhammadu Buhari of the APC defeats Atiku Abubakar of the PDP at the Supreme Court after the apex court ruled on the election petition by Mr. Atiku and his party, the PDP. And the electoral umpire INEC is worried and has raised an alarm over fear of voters' harassment and inducement ahead of the Kogi and Bayelsa elections. Hello everyone and welcome to the program. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean walking by the Channels Television's global headquarters in Lagos. It is perhaps one of those big news day, perhaps the biggest story in the land today is the outcome of the presidential election tribunal, which culminated into what the apex court has decided today, saying Muhammadu Buhari of the APC is the winner of the 2019 presidential election. That gets our attention. A lot has been said today, loads and loads of reaction following that decision of the apex court. Well, the final court of the land. What are the political parties and the heavyweights saying about the outcome of today's judgment? That gets our attention. All the angles, the legal angles and the political angles we will explore tonight on the program. In this 1 hour, stay with us, everyone, for all of the details. First, let's tell you about some worries and the situation in the build-up to the Kogi and Bayelsa election, the governorship election in those states. For the fear of voters' harassment and inducement is topping the list of the concerns raised by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, ahead of the November the 16th governorship elections in Kogi and Bayelsa State. Chairman of the Commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, stated this at a meeting with civil society organization in Abuja. According to him, the Commission is already collaborating with relevant security agencies to look into the situation. He also criticized some civil society organizations for not submitting their post-2019 general elections reports to the Commission.
Buying and other sundry violations of the Electoral Act. I must re-emphasize that voters are not allowed to carry their mobile phones or any photographic devices into the voting cubicles on election day. Given the volatile nature of politics and elections in Bayelsa and Kogi states, the Commission decided to engage with stakeholders early and continuously. Our objective is to speak early and continuously with all stakeholders and hear from them what the additional steps we need to take in order to ensure peaceful campaigns, election day activities, collation of results, and declaration of same would be. We have already engaged with the security agencies to ensure unimpeded access to voting locations and collection centers for accredited media organizations, in addition to adequate protection for all, including election officials and voters.
Those are some of the concerns of the INEC ahead of the Bayelsa and Kogi governorship election. That's not what we'll be discussing tonight in this 1 hour stretch of the program. We will be discussing the outcome of the Supreme Court judgment on the presidential elections of 2019. But stay with us. There are some other political stories, and we want you to be up to speed with some of those stories across the land. Take a listen to some of them.
INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner for Bayelsa State, Mr. Mondo Odo, has refuted the claims made by the state chapter of the People's Democratic Party that it was conniving with the All Progressives Congress to rig the governorship election. The PDP had accused the REC of contracting the Deputy Vice Chancellor of the Federal University, Otueke, to recruit APC members as supervisory presiding officers.
We shall remain focused in achieving our mandates. We shall not be distracted by fake and false news, being peddled about my humble self and INEC Bayelsa State.
The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, has charged the people of Kogi State to vote for the candidate of the All Progressives Congress APC in order to move to the next level of infrastructure and economic development. Professor Osinbajo gave the charge in Ida, the ancient city of Igala Kingdom, during the official launch of the governorship campaign of the All Progressives Congress in Kogi State. He assured that the second term of President Muhammadu Buhari would witness robust economic development, saying it has become imperative for Kogi State to be part of the transformation to the next level.
The only way to make sure that we get to the next level is by making sure that that day, all of us, everybody is APC that day, every single person. And we must go there and vote for Governor Yahaya Bello.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. So let's begin tonight the program on the issues of the 2019 presidential election and the outcome of today's Supreme Court judgment. So the Supreme Court judgment dismissed an appeal filed by the main opposition party candidate, Atiku Abubakar, and his party PDP, the People's Democratic Party, challenging the victory of President Muhammadu Buhari in the February 23rd, 2019 presidential election. Delivering judgment on the appeal, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Tanko Muhammad, who led 6 other justices of the Apex Court, delivered the verdict which put paid to the legal dispute over the presidential election. Justice Muhammad said the reasons for the decision of the court will be made known on a date to be announced. But let me give you an understanding and insight into what perhaps you'll be hearing from some of the lawyers. You will get a benefit of some of the insights of what's transpired and what led us to today. Some of the things that we know for sure. The court says that the reason for today's judgment is that it lacked merit. The appeal by this man and his political party, the PDP, lacked merit, and that is the Supreme Court verdict of dismissing that because it says it lacks merit. Let's take a look at what has been before now. These were the figures that were contended at the court. First and foremost, this was a vote garnered by this man of the APC, 15 million votes that he got in the 2019 presidential election, as against the over 11 million votes got by Mr. Atiku Abubakar. This was a margin between both of them that made the world of difference that has made this political party, PDP, and the presidential election, candidates go to the court to seek a redress on the outcome of the election. Let's take a look at some of what has happened today. These are the men and women who sat for that Supreme Court judgment today. Justice Tanko Muhammad, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Bode Rhodes Vivo, Olukade Ariwola, John Okoro, Amiru Sanusi, Ejembi Eko, and Uwani Abaji. Those are the panel that's the panel for the Supreme Court today. Let's take a look at some of what led us to today. This man, Muhammadu Buhari, who is of the APC, has run for president 5 times and was lucky twice, 2015 and 2019. If you look at the history of what he's been able to get over the years, in 2003, he got 12,710,000 votes. 2007, he got 12,250,000 votes. This in 2011 was the lowest vote he ever garnered in all of the times that he had come out to contest for presidential election. In 2015, 15 million. In 2019, 15 million. And President Muhammadu Buhari today, the court has said, he is the validly elected president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So this man twice lucky. And this is what we are seeing today, the history of what has led him to what we are seeing today. Now, look at what has made the world of difference in all of the election. 3 million votes, and that is what Mr. Atiku Abubakar and the PDP contested, but the Supreme Court said it lacked merit. Let's hear from the lawyers and what they thought about the outcome. The lead lawyers in the contest today. Let's hear and what they had to say after the Supreme Court gave its verdict.
I don't want to speculate until they give their reasons. No reason has been given, and we've done our best. We've done our best. Our clients have done their best. The rest are for Nigerians. But let me say this, that unless something drastically is done to electoral jurisprudence in this country, there'll be problem.
All is well that ends well. The matter has been finally settled. The matter has been finally settled by the Supreme Court. We want to appreciate and then commend the Supreme Court for rising up to the occasion. That's the way it should be, and the judiciary has done well. For us as counsel, we've done our best, and counsel for all the parties have tried, both counsel for the appellants and counsel to the respondents. But we as lawyers, this is how far we have gone. We can go, and we cannot say anything more than that.
So let's get started and let's get views on this one. First and foremost, tonight we shall be getting views of some of the top officials in the main political parties that ran in this contest. Tonight, let's get one of the vocal voices from the People's Democratic Party in the campaign and in the election. Alhaji Buba Galadima joins us from our Abuja studio. Is a spokesperson of the PDP Presidential Campaign Organization. Thank you so much for coming to us. And now that this is done, perhaps what a lot of lawyers will say, well, it's put paid to all of the arguments in the courtroom. What will be your reaction now? Because I know that you've been on this program several times and you were quite confident about what will come out of the Supreme Court judgment today. But from what you heard today, what is your immediate reaction?
Well, my immediate reaction is that I would want to congratulate our lead counsel, Dr. Levi Izoku, and his legal team. They are indeed very, very prominent Nigerians who have excelled in the legal practice. And they had done their best. The facts were on their side, but the judges looked the other way for reasons best known to them. We do congratulate them, and we did appreciate actually their input into this. Secondly, I would want Nigerians to recall, because our fault had always been that we are only with the moment, we forget the past. This is a climax, anticlimax of what some of us had started 2 years ago when General Muhammad Buhari refused to sign the electoral law. This is the end product. He knew that had he signed that electoral law, he wouldn't be the president of Nigeria today. So he was appropriately and wisely advised by those around him who think for him that he shouldn't sign the Electoral Act because that amounts to self-stab. So, and they also appropriately advised him to remove Justice Walter Onoge, who he knew was a very forthright judge who, despite all intimidations and entreaties in 2007, held his grounds and gave General Buhari judgment. And they thought that if he remains the Chief Justice of Nigeria, nobody could intimidate him to do what is not possible. So that man was removed. And also, when the elections were called 6 hours to voting, they canceled the election in order to overstretch the opposition political parties. And a combination of this is what we had seen today. I personally do believe that Atiku Abubakar or the PDP had not lost this court case. They had not lost the election. They had not lost the court case. But Nigerians had done that because what awaits Nigerians is that I promise them, each and every one of you, except those that are at the corridors of power, will cry with the tears because this government is going to visit them with all types of fascism and all types of economic deprivation. And I assure workers that in the next 6 months, they will not be in a position to receive salary because all the monies were stolen, and these monies that they are trying to generate through taxation of various individuals in this country to fund the budget. Because since there is no economic activity, there would be no money to tax. Therefore, there would be no money to pay salaries. Therefore, I advise Nigerians to tighten up their belt, go back to the farm, and make a living. Because those who think that this government, which has no empathy, this government who has no respect for rule of law, now that there is no obstacle before them, this is going to happen. And I want to say,
Alhaji Galadima, if I may quickly butt in here, some of, I mean, you're using very strong words there about the situation in the country. But let me take you to the premise of what has happened today, and perhaps a quick premise also to what you boasted or you said on this program, that you were sure that you won in the field. And you said that if you go to the tribunal, you were going to win. And after the tribunal, yes, you told me on this program that you were confident that the decision of the tribunal, the appeal court, was going to be upturned by the Supreme Court. Are you saying that today when the Supreme Court said the appeal of the PDP and Atiku lacks merit, are you saying that the decision is also faulted? Be clear in what you're telling Nigerians, Alhaji Galadima.
No. I'm very much with you, except that you only said what I have said by half. When 3 days ago the president jetted out of this country for a 21-day holidays and working visit in Saudi Arabia and the UK, that has shown all reasonable Nigerians that the matter in the courts had already been settled. And if the man was not sure of what was going to happen today, he wouldn't have had the guts to leave this country. And using official jet, which for sure, if he knows that he can be dethroned by the courts of the land, he wouldn't dare take that one out. So this is one. Two, that the justices, even though not law, refuse to make public the names of the justices that will sit on this case. They have been concealing this. Three, that after the fireworks for some few hours, they excused themselves in a judgment where over 50,000 pages of documents were submitted to them and addresses were made for less than one hour by the lead counsels. In this case, they excused themselves for 1 hour, came back to issue a judgment. We wouldn't know what is their reasoning. But all that I have said before is that if the judges will live by their oath of office, and if the judges have the fear of God, and if the judges know that if they die, whether they are Muslims, Christians, or pagans, or atheists, they will be asked by God or those they believe in, they can be tried for what they had done. This judgment wouldn't have been so. Because it is on record that in about 7 to 9 states of this country, there was no election. So the problem we have in this country today is that we are being taken to prison. Why? Because the judicial justice system in Nigeria is not looking for the truth, it's not looking for the facts of the case. They are only looking for technicalities to support the wickedness of the strong against the weak. And
Alhaji Galadima, we will take a breather.
Yeah,
let's take a break, Alhaji Galadima. But when we come back, I will put a few things to you, and I would like your reaction to it. And going forward, for some of the advice that has been given after this judgment of today, don't go anywhere. We get some of the views when we come back after this break, everyone. Join us again. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. The reactions trailing the Supreme Court judgment of today, saying Muhammadu Buhari of the APC is the validly elected candidate, president of Nigeria after the 2019 presidential election. We'll get a reaction from the main opposition party, and they're reacting to these. We've been talking with Alhaji Buba Galadima from our Abuja studio. Alhaji Galadima, let me read to you the reaction of the Senate president today. He did say, part of what he said is that the petitioners should gracefully accept the final verdict of our court of law, while the winners should demonstrate magnanimity by extending the hand of fellowship to the opposition with a view to carrying all Nigerians along in the other task of nation building. Is your party accepting this?
Well, I want to say that we in the opposition really, I mean, it doesn't really matter to us whether a hand of fellowship is extended to us or not, because we are not looking for jobs, we are not looking for appointments, nor are we looking for contracts. But what is important to us is that this government should extend hands of fellowship to ordinary Nigerians that are living in penury, living in hardship, living in hunger, living in ignorance, living in insecurity. That is, once they have done that, they have satisfied our own position, because that is what we aspire to do to ordinary Nigerians. And that is politics. And I want to borrow from what Dr. Levy Ozuoku has said, that unless something is done to the electoral jurisprudence in this country, there would be trouble, because we had seen this happen when the ordinary man is stifled and his rights are trampled upon by the strong, and he goes to court, he cannot find the justice. He will resort to self-help. Just look at how Mohammed Yusuf of Boko Haram was murdered by the police. And today, look at what all of us in Nigeria have been paying for. Look at when Fulani cattle were being wrestled, their women were abducted, their women were being raped, their children were being kidnapped. All of us clapped that it is ordinary Fulani that are receiving this. Today, the ordinary Fulani man has picked AK-47 from Calabar to Sokoto, from Lagos to Maiduguri. Nobody could sleep well. Nobody could drive with the rest of mind on our roads.
Dima, let me quickly ask you this question. Alhaji Galadima, it does look like what you're describing, correct me if I'm wrong, it comes across as though you think that the judiciary is not doing the right thing. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is that the judiciary has not looked at the facts of this case, because I can swear by the Quran that there was no election in Yobe, there was no election in Jigawa, there was no election in Borno. Figures were just written when we wanted to inquire into those things and subject them to forensic analysis, the judiciary refused us because they supported the strong against the weak.
Haji Galadima, the strong against the weak that you're talking, sorry, apologies, so that we can clarify this issue. Are you saying that the ruling party has muscled the judiciary against the opposition? Is that what you're saying?
Well, that is, we are already in the court of public opinion because this court is called Kotun Allah Ya Isa, and now we are in the hands of God and the public. For that one, God will do justice. And everybody that sat on this case knew the facts of this case, knew what is in this case, whether they used their position as supported by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to give rulings. Such a ruling, it doesn't really matter to some of us because some of us believe in God and we are sure God can upturn the impossible. And we rely
Galadima,
on
if I may ask you, so a lot of people will say, now Alhaji Galadima is saying that the judiciary has done the wrong thing because this judgment is clearly against your party, the PDP. But if you look at some of the judgment that have come out of the court in the last 6 months that has been in the favor of the PDP, would you say that the judiciary has done the wrong thing also?
Where and where?
I can keep mentioning that in several states. There are several state governorship elections. In fact, today, there are two National Assembly members that have been removed from the APC, and PDP members have been asked to replace them.
And you mean Kano governor was removed where he took power by force with the use of the police and the army? Is that what you are telling me?
I'm saying, Alhaji Galadima, in the cases where the judgment favors the PDP, are you saying that the judiciary has also done the wrong thing?
Let me tell you an example. If this judgment today had been that Buhari was removed from office, I am sure by now there would have been fireworks all over this country. People would be jubilating, pouring water on the streets and drinking. But have you seen any individual in Nigeria who is happy, who has demonstrated that he is happy with this judgment? Any one single one of them. Now that I have said this, they will phone their governors tomorrow to organize some charlatans and give them money to start saying, hey, we applaud the Supreme Court for what they had done. But was there any spontaneous approval of the judgment of the Supreme Court? That shows you that nobody believed in what ruling they did. We are awaiting to hear the final analysis of how they arrived at that decision. And we as Nigerians has a cover under the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to hold an opinion whether it wrongs us or it supports our view. And this is what I am exercising, and this is what a lot of Nigerians are exercising by keeping quiet and keeping mute and just presenting a silence of the graveyard.
Alhaji Galadima, we must leave it at that, and we must sincerely thank you for your thoughts tonight on the program.